Welcome to Looking Back. My name is Kafui Day. My guest is celebrated commentator Joe Lartey from Ghana. Remember to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you're the first person to get news of new content. We're looking back to May 1964, which was when the great Muhammed Ali, who would become the first person to win the heavyweight championship title in boxing 3 times. He came to Ghana, and my guest, Mr. Joe Lartey, had the pleasure of interviewing the great Muhammed Ali, also known as Cassius Clay, before he converted to Islam. Mr. Lartey, good to have you on Looking Back. Tell us how big of a champion Muhammed Ali was in 1964 before he came to Ghana.
Well, 1964, Muhammad Ali was only beginning to get to the top. He had this particular bout with Sonny Liston. And Sonny Liston was considered a dreaded individual of a boxer. He was beating everybody, and he was so huge that against somebody like Muhammad Ali, who had just started his professional career, the whole world was very much interested in that bout, thinking that Muhammad was going to lose. But he won, and from there he started climbing. And on the climb, or in the climb, he had to visit Ghana. 1964.
Even before his fight against Sonny Liston, he had already won the Olympic gold.
Yes, he had. That was a qualification for his professional career. And most of the heavyweight boxers are still doing it. After you've gone through the Olympic Games, especially with a gold, then you turn professional.
If I were to gauge the mood of Ghanaians in 1964, what impressions did the general public have of Muhammad Ali before he came to Ghana?
Well, Muhammad Ali was on everybody's lips. Everybody was talking about Muhammad Ali. And it was felt that he was an African American. So that was something that emphasized his position as an individual, and especially as a professional boxer. And he was a very handsome man. His appearance alone was enough to win the whole of Ghana.
Can you remember when you got the news that you would be the one to interview him? How did that go?
I shivered.
Who informed you?
It was Festus Adai. Festus Adai was then the head of the outside broadcast department of GBC. And that department was responsible for sports and ceremonial coverage.
GBC being Ghana Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah, that's right. So I was commissioned to cover Muhammad Ali's visit to Ghana. Hey, it was a very big job. So I had to prepare. The preparation was thorough. I read everything about him. I talked to anybody who had met him before. I got my tape recorder. We were then using a tape recorder called Butoba. It was a heavy thing, and I had to get my tape ready. Everything. I realized that it was not mine to make a mistake in the coverage. I got to know where he was putting up, the Ambassador Hotel, and everything that ought to be done was done to make the coverage successful.
I'm just curious, why do you think Mr. Adai didn't do the interview himself? You had just been in the GBC for barely, maybe 3 years. You joined in 61.
Yeah, I joined 61.
And so that was just about 3 years into your time as a commentator. Why did he give you the assignment?
Yeah, because I was showing qualities of being good at doing the thing, you know. And he used to say, Joe, as for you, speaking,
meaning
you are clever, or you are skillful or something. So you go and do this one. And I remember that quite apart from that event, which was a sporting event, I did one very important coverage with Festus Adai, the commissioning of the Mahaba.
Okay.
I haven't forgotten it.
So that happened before the fight.
That's right.
So,
before the fight.
So I must probably My conclusion is that he had a lot of confidence in you.
Yes, he had confidence. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given him that job.
Because I'm thinking most bosses in this position would have wanted to be the one to interview the great Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali.
Let me tell you one thing. Until the day I die, I'll always praise Festus Adai. He was a large-hearted person, very efficient, had a beautiful voice, velvet voice, which carried a lot. And he did not put a bombshell on me. He exposed me. If today I'm known in Ghana and I have a name in sport, I give a credit not to myself but to Festus Adai.
He was a good boss.
He was a good boss.
Yeah. And I'm sure a fine man too.
A very fine man, very fine man. I think other managers in other places today should take a cue from Festus Adai.
Awesome. One of these days we'll have a whole show around him. And let's get back to Ali. So if it were today, I would go onto my phone or my laptop and look for information and do research. How did you do your research for the interview?
I had to go from pillar to post, from place to place, go to the hotels, go to GNA,
Ghana News Agency.
Ghana News Agency, go everywhere that I could get information, dependable information about Muhammad Ali. There was no room for mistakes.
Did you speak to anybody who may have known him, or it was all just reading from newspapers and books?
No, I spoke to people who knew him, who had been in touch with him, who had watched him box outside Ghana, and that gave me the impetus to do what I did, a successful coverage.
So now let's switch to the arrival of the plane that brought Ali. Were you at the airport?
Yeah, we started coverage from the airport.
Okay.
And Muhammad Ali stood in an open car with a neckerchief, and he rode people lined the route right up to the Ambassador Hotel, where he stayed for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it was big news, big event. Everybody was on fire. Excited.
And because this was the beginning of his African tour, he would go on to Egypt and Nigeria as well. But Ghana was the first stop.
The first stop.
Okay.
And the whole world was on him. All eyes was on Muhammad Ali.
And so I know he was in town for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
But you got the chance to actually go up close and personal with him.
That's right. And
Give us your memory, your recollections of that day when you had to go.
The day I met Muhammad Ali in his hotel room, it was a bright day. And all the time I was thinking of putting on some very expensive clothing or something, and I should look good. But that wasn't to come. I was advised that it wasn't necessary to wear something extraordinary. So I went in my sportswear. And
describe when you say sportswear, what were you wearing?
I had a round neck, a white round neck on a blue-black trousers. You know, and then I had my butoba,
which is your equipment.
The equipment to record. I had about 15 minutes tape recorded.
Okay.
We were then using tape recorders.
Okay. And you had 15 of them?
Because Ali could talk you down in a way that, you know, I was advised to prepare properly for that.
That's a lot of minutes, you know.
Oh, yes. 15 minutes.
Times 15.
Times 15.
That's a lot of minutes.
And I went to Ali. And when I was announced, he told the announcer to tell me he was getting ready to meet me.
And this was in his room?
It was in the small space in front of his room.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you step out of the room and this is where you had...
There,
okay.
And when he appeared, I woke up. I stood up and bowed to him.
Describe what he looked like.
And there was Ali. He was wearing his birthday suit, which means he was naked. He had just a covering here, but the rest of the body was exposed.
When you say covering, what was it? Was it a towel?
It was something like a small kind of underwear or something.
Okay.
That was the only covering.
Covering his genitals.
The rest of his body was naked, exposed.
Did he know you were coming?
He knew I was coming.
So you think he intentionally dressed like this?
Yeah, he didn't want to. The point is, if he said the weather was a bit uncomfortable, and he was holding a bowl of ice cream, and he was downing the ice cream as we talked. And each time I started a question, he wouldn't allow me to finish it. He knew what I was going to say, and then he jumped in, and some of them were like recitation, like poems.
He was responding in
He
poems.
was responding in poems, and I sat there. At a point, I nearly forgot I was interviewing him, very nearly. Then I got back to my senses, and the interview went on and
What
on
did you talk about? I mean, do you remember your first question to him?
Yeah, I said I welcomed him to Ghana. Said welcome. Then I talked a little bit about his performance in the Olympic Games. I congratulated him on his winning a gold in the Olympic Games, which led him into his professional business. I talked about I asked questions about his family. I asked about his friends. I was very keen to know the state of his health, how he was feeling. And he said I could judge the state of his health from his appearance. He said, you see me as I sit. And he stood up. And then he dug the spoon into the ice cream and downed one or two.
Gulps.
And then he started reciting something. A poem he was composing on the spot.
Extempore.
Yeah, it wasn't a poem about anything, but it was a poem bringing his journey from the U.S. to Ghana. So it was fresh. It was original. There was nothing he had said before. It was saying it all. His impressions were in the poem.
What was it like listening to him?
Well, one thing I had noticed, to interview somebody like that, if you, the interviewer, if you are not careful, you lose your senses. So I tried not to do that. I had to follow every bit, every stage of his utterance, what he was saying, how he was saying it, and then I had to meet him halfway. And it was a delight. Towards the end, I felt so good. I was proud of myself that I had been able to face this great man, this great boxer in my life, early in GBC. Great.
Were you able to use some of the background research that you painstakingly put together?
Yes, but that was the interview. Because, in an interview, if you don't have your background information, your interview becomes dry. It's a matter of when were you born, how many children you have, who is your,
That's elementary.
Then when you know a little more than that, then I asked about his relationships with the beautiful girls and
what did he say?
he was happy, very happy. And he was talking about some of the girls chasing him to his hotels, some of them demanding money. So, he said everything.
In terms of, if you said, describe Ali in one word, I mean, from that interview, is it possible? Well, what would you have described him as?
Muhammed Ali was a maestro.
He was a maestro?
A maestro of a boxer at heavyweight, and a successful guy. He was large-hearted, one thing. Large-hearted. He was cheerful. And he was everything that one would desire of a man answering to the name Muhammad Ali.
What surprised you about him in that interview, apart from the fact that he was almost naked?
Oh, yeah. What surprised me, you said, you put on the question, what surprised me on that occasion, it was a bowl of ice cream.
What flavor was
that
it?
he was downing.
What flavor was the ice cream?
I wasn't particular.
But did he offer you some of the ice cream?
I didn't ask for it.
But did he offer?
He didn't. He was insistent on emptying the bowl.
Did he empty the bowl?
One spoonful after the other. It was great.
Is that one of the most unusual interviews you've done?
Yes, I think it was one of the most unusual interviews that I've done. One of the other interviews that I did, also for with an American, it was in the Ivory Coast. He was one of these chaps. The name it's a long time ago. But he was a boxer. He was an athlete. An athlete. He won 4 gold medals at an Olympic, 1930 Olympics. And Hitler.
Jesse Owens.
Jesse Owens.
You interviewed Jesse Owens?
Yes, I did.
We'll keep that story for...
I interviewed Jesse Owens
Wow.
in the Ivory Coast. Jesse Owens is a whole story.
You know what? We'll tease out the viewers about the Jesse Owens interview because that was like the greatest athlete back in the day. And we'll
4
talk about
gold
that
medals at
in one game.
Hitler refused to shake his hand.
Let's keep that for another day.
Yeah.
Let's come back to
Okay,
Ali.
so back to Ali.
So back to Ali. So,
I asked him about his program on the visit.
yes. What did he say? Did he say why he came to Ghana?
Well, he said because of his interest in the development of the African continent. He said he had a very keen eye on the goings on in Africa, and that was one of the reasons why he changed from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. You know, so he wanted to go to some places of interest. He wanted to go to the place where most of the slaves were shipped to America. That's Christiansburg Castle. He mentioned it. He mentioned he couldn't pronounce Elbina properly, but he managed to get it through. He said he would like to go to the Elbina Castle. He'd like to see sights that will stay in his memory for the rest of his life. And I was nodding, you know, as he spoke. It was great.
And then how did you end this interview?
I tried to compose a summary of most of the things that he had said. I tried to do that, and I rolled it out in a very nice, you know, nice message that would be in his memory for the rest of his life. That was what I did, and then I gave him my name, and I believe it was in his head when he died.
And talking about Ali's death, Ali died in 2016 on the 3rd of June.
I was born 6th June.
Yes, you were born 6th June, a couple of years before him, 15 years before him. So you are his big brother.
Yeah.
What is your abiding memory of Ali?
My abiding memory of Ali was a great soul. My memory of him was somebody who came into the world, discovered his talent, and built on it, made very good work of it, and was successful. It serves as an example to the rest of us. You know, pick up your talent, get to know it, and work on it. He had a lot of opposition, but he managed to get over the opposition and right to the top. He became one of the never to be forgotten heavyweight boxers in boxing history. A lot of achievements. And that is what those of us, the smaller people, we should learn from and try to build up.
What's one tip you would give to any interviewer who is confronted with a strange guest who does things that are out of the norm?
Straight away, thorough preparation. Thorough preparation. If necessary, very competent rehearsal. Rehearse your interview before you go there. You should know the individual you are going to interview. So you prepare against the qualities, whatever that make up that individual. So you get at him properly. Preparation, thorough preparation. Preparation material, preparation yourself, your body, your soul, your heart, your eyes, your ears. You should be well prepared.
And finally, How many of those 15-minute reels did you exhaust in that interview?
I've forgotten exactly, but I think I did more than 10.
The man talked.
I did more than 10. And with a lot of, what we call it?
Editing?
Editing.
Okay.
We did a lot of editing.
All right,
yeah.
all right.
To be able to, because in GBC, we pay attention to time, duration of a program. This is one of the things that I notice in these days on the FM stations. Most of their programs are not timed. You know, it goes on and on. But in GBC, if it's 15 minutes, it's 15 minutes. You should put in something like 13 minutes and a half, so that you keep within the time.
Okay.
And so I was very conscious of that.
I thank you very much for looking back
Thank you.
into 1964,
Thank you.
which is almost 60 years ago to the day and the time that the great Muhammad Ali landed on the shores of Ghana for a 2-week trip. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching Looking Back. Remember to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that the next time fresh content pops out like toast from a toaster, you'll be the first to grab it and crunch on it. And thanks to my guest, Mr. Joe Lartey, for looking back into his memories and delivering the story of the late, great Muhammad Ali, who once upon a time in 1964 touched down and spent 2 weeks in our beautiful country, Ghana. Keep watching, and I'll see you the next time. God bless. My name is Kafui.